Let's get to the subject immediately: how to apply for a residence permit document. According to international law, which foreigners enter and stay in a country under the sovereign power of state, foreigners who want to stay in Turkey longer than the visa exemption period must obtain a residence permit. The residence permit is issued by the province immigration administration and is in the form of a card with the identify information and validity period of the foreigner. Residence permit applications are made to provincial immigration administration established in each province. First of all, an appointment should be made with the immigration administration, then the documents should be prepared and submitted to the immigration administration officer of the day of the appointment. The residence permit application must be made before the visa exemption period is expired. It is sufficient to make an appointment within the visa exemption period, and the appointment day does not need to be within the visa exemption period. Visa exemption period vary depending on the country nationality of the foreigners. This period ranges from 30 days and 90 days. It is not possible for foreigners who violate the visa exemption period to apply for a residence permit before leaving Turkey. By saying that I'm applying for a residence permit for the first time on ikamet.gov.tr address, you will first open your application and registration by entering your identifying information and contact information. Then you will enter the request information by choosing the type of residence permit and receive your appointment date. Then you can go to the appointment with the immigration officer with the necessary documents according to the application type. It's very easy to make an appointment and enter information. Anyone can do this. When going to the interview, care should be taken to ensure that the documents are complete. Now let's examine the types of residence. There are 6 types of residence permit application: short-term residence permits, family residence permits, student residence permits, long-term residence permits, humanitarian residence permits, and residence permit for victims of human trafficking. The documents required for a short-term residence permit are like the ones on the screen. There are many short-term applications reasons. In fact, short-term residence permit application is considered as a separate issue. Short-term residence permit application reasons are as follows. Firstly, foreigners who have to stay in Turkey do scientific research. Second, foreigners who will establish commercial relations, develop or establish a business. Foreigners who own a movable property in Turkey. Foreigners included in the in-service training program. Foreigners who are included in student exchange programs with the framework of the agreements made by Turkey. Foreigners who want to extend their stay for tourism purposes. Patients who will be treated. Foreigners who have to stay in country with the decision of judicial and administrative authorities. Foreigners who have lost their family residence permit because they can no longer meet the conditions of the family residence permit. Foreigners who will attend the Turkish language learning course. Among the foreigners who completed their higher education in Turkey, application within 6 months of the date of graduation. Foreigners, spouses and unaccompanied children who don't work in Turkey but invest to amount required by Council of Ministers. Foreigners who are Turkish citizens of North Cyprus. Since the reasons for short-term residence permits are different, the requirement documents may differ. We can answer the question of who is given the family residence permits as follows. For origin national spouses, who, his or her spouse, or his, her, and the great for original national child. 2. His or his spouse's dependent for origin child. The documents you can to take while going to appointment are as follows. Residence permit form, original and photocopy of the passport, 4 photographs, marriage certificate, original and photocopy of the spouse identity card, the sponsor spouse, his insurance, documents showing the income level of the sponsor, criminal record certificate, certificate of residence. Requirements for students' residence permit are as follows. Submitting the requested information and documents regarding studentship, not being among the foreigners who will not be allowed to enter our country. 2. Submit the information of address where he or she will stay in Turkey. Residency students don't submit documents by appointment. After they pass the registration and create the application form, they submit 2 documents to the regional student coordinator on the dates specified by the university. Universities submit these documents to immigration administration, and if you have any questions regarding your application, you should ask the regional student coordinator. The documents you need to submit the university are student residence permit application form, passport or replacement document, biometric photo, student certificate, certificate of living, health insurance, address document, documents for persons under the age of 18. If one of the parents is absent during the residence permit application, the consent document of the non-applicant. This certificate of the deceased spouse if one of the parents is dead. If the mother and father are divorced, the custody certificate of the child. If the mother and father of the children are married, the marriage certificate or certified photocopies of the document provided that the child is married. The coordination required by applicants to obtain a long-term residence permit are specified in Article 43 of the Foreigners Law. These conditions are having lived in Turkey for at least 8 years with an uninterrupted residence permit. Half of the student residence permit's duration are calculated. To have a regular income sufficient to support himself and his family. Not having received any social assistance in the last 3 years. Not to pose a risk in the field of public health, public order, or public safety. When calculating the duration of stay, retrospective 1-year screening is made based on the date of application. Within this 1-year period, the person concerned must have stayed in Turkey for at least 180 days. If this condition is met, retrospective screening continues and the 8-year period is evaluated in this way. If the applicant has stayed in Turkey for less than 180 days during the year, the days in the last 5 years are examined. If he or she has spent more than 365 days outside Turkey in a 5-year period, or if he or she has stayed abroad for one time or more than 6 consecutive months, the application is concluded negatively. The period spent in Turkey without a residence permit and the days spent by foreigners who have been reported are not included in these calculations. Foreigners who have a long-term residence permit have the same rights as the Turkish citizens, exception for this issues. Long-term residents don't have the right to vote and be elected. They cannot participate in election or vote. They cannot work in public use and cannot bring vehicles with exceptions. They don't have military dues. They are exemption from compulsory military service. In all cases other than the above, the legislation applicable to Turkish citizens is also applied to foreigners with long-term residence permits. The documents required for long-term residence permits are also follows: informational form, passport, 4 biometric photographs, proof of income, criminal record, documents showing that no social aid has been received in the last 3 years, duplicate copies of previous residence permits. They count documents showing the interrupted residence for 8 years, private health insurance, long-term residence permits application form, fee payment receipts, document of address. If you are staying on a rental, notarized copy of your contract. If you are staying in places such as hotels, motel, pension, a document showing that you are staying in this place. If you are staying in student dormitories or guest house, a signed or wet signed and sealed documents showing that you stay in the dormitory or guest house. If you are staying with your accurate or relative, address registration document of the person you stay with the letter undertaken. With regard to residence permit, we wanted to give you a brief but important information without going into details in general. If you saw we were helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe our channel.